But that is big in this bill. Health Information Technology, HIT. That, to me, will put more savings in this system than almost anything. In fact, we've seen studies outside of this that indicate between $300 and $400 billion in savings can be realized just from health information technology. If you're able to have your early history online, so that if you have an emergency or if you go to a doctor or a facility in some strange place, they can go online and find out exactly what your history is, and then be able to treat you more effectively and cheaper. You won't have to run all these tests. You know right away what the problem is. I had a tremendous experience with this. I like to tell people about this. I sat in a doctor's office, a clinic really, in Columbia, South Carolina, and I watched online as a patient in a community health center 120 miles away in the little town of Sheldon, South Carolina, Beaufort County, down near Savannah. That patient went in and put his eyes to a monitor, and I'm sitting there with a doctor in Columbia, 120 miles away, and that doctor, looking on his monitor, was able to find out that that person was diabetic and didn't know it. And this is the kind of thing that you can do with health information technology, and this bill is big on that.
And there are so many visits, so many appointments with physicians that can really be eliminated when we make all of this information available to a physician. They can better treat, also can better inform the community health centers. They can say what they need to learn about preparing food or drinking water or whatever, dental care, all types of information that can make life a lot more, a lot less complicated for families than what they are now. Well, I'm very pleased that we've gotten this far. This is a major piece of legislation. What would you compare it with?
I would compare it in recent years with Medicare, though Medicare is much more limited in terms of the age category. Some people would compare it to Social Security. And I also sometimes compare this with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, because I do believe that what we're doing here is establishing the right to health care as a fundamental right. Now, it may not be a civil right. Now, I won't get into those kinds of arguments with people, but I think that health care is, in fact, a fundamental right, and I would compare this to that.
Well, now we're looking at the Senate. Do the bills differ quite a bit?
Quite a bit, quite a bit. The pay for us, for instance, is a tremendous difference. As you know, on the House side, our pay for is putting a surcharge on people who make more than, or couples who make more than $1 million a year. Not on the first million, but anything over $1 million, a 5.4% surcharge is added to that. And if you're single making over $500,000 over that, the surcharge will apply. Now, on the Senate side, they have decided that they are going to tax what we call Cadillac plans, or these high-end health plans to get to the income that's needed to pay for this bill. That's a fundamental difference. Our plan, as you know, has what we call a public option, which I call a hybrid, because it's a public option that allows negotiated rates, but at the same time we've increased eligibility of people on Medicaid from 133% of poverty up to 150% of poverty. That brings on an additional 3.5 to 7 million people onto Medicaid. And of course, the Senate bill keeps Medicaid eligibility at 133% of poverty. So I think there are some basic differences between what the Senate has done and what we've done. And I do believe that, contrary to popular opinion, I think that in terms of cost effectiveness, I believe our bill is better than what is currently being discussed in the Senate. Of course, they still have a lot to do on the floor with amendments before they get to a final product. But the Health Committee has already reported, and what's being discussed now is really the Finance Committee version of the bill. And so, to be fair to the Senate, we need to wait and see what it is that they produce. But we already know that there's a basic difference in how we finance the two bills.
Well, I believe that our conferees will be going to the table very equipped to defend what we've put together. It's been well discussed. It has been well written and rewritten until we got it so clear.
Oh, sure. I would say to the American people that 3 different committees on the House side took turns at this bill. We had the Education and Labor Committee, we had the Ways and Means Committee, and we had the Energy Commerce Committee. And there is a lot of hard work by those 3 chairs working on this. George Miller, Henry Waxman, Charlie Rangel did yeoman's work, and of course Speaker Pelosi sat down and sort of quarterbacked this in a way that I really, really admire. And it's a great bill, it's a great product, and a lot of real good people worked on it.
Well, she was very focused and gave as many hours a day as she could to usher this along. So we're all grateful for her leadership, and I consider it a compliment when I hear about the Pelosi bill.
Absolutely.
I know it's not meant to be when it's described in that fashion, but that's quite an achievement.
Absolutely.
When we have, everyone here is from a different district, and they all have different problems and different views of those problems. It's a lot to get 220 people to agree to a major piece of legislation like this is.
Oh, yeah. And I applaud her for having accomplished it.
Well, and let me thank you for making sure that we really did have the votes when we came to the floor, because you know, something as important as this and as detailed and as much of a change that it will bring, it's hard to think that some might get and hear something on the floor and might say, well, if that's there, I can't do it. Well, the mere fact that we got the numbers was very, very history-making.
Well, thank you so much, but we never would have done it without those senior whips, and you are one of those. And thank you so much for all your help.
And thank you for your leadership. We are all very proud, and we are all very, very proud of all of the leaders that came together to put this bill out there and to do something, one of the best things we've done for this country since I have been in Congress. And both of us have been in here 17 years.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so thank you again for coming to the show. And I will see you next week. And you start telling everybody what a great bill we have. And if you have any questions, you can call my office at 214-922-8885 or the one here in Washington, 202-225-8885. Thank you for watching.